Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So my name is Madhura Hegde and YouTube is my hobby, so I make videos about MS related, job related stuff, and I also love to make lifestyle and travel videos. So if you like these kind of videos, stay tuned because I'm going to make some really nice videos. Um, so in this video I am going to talk about resumes because resumes is a very important part of your interview process, right? Because these are the things that help you get call from a recruiter, and the only thing that they are going to see is your resume, and that is based on that you're going to get a call. Also, before I tell you how you can write your resumes, let me tell you that I have heard from my friends, or at least it seems like people in the Bay Area or people in the top colleges, it's easier for them to get calls from the recruiter. And if you're not in top universities, then you have to make sure that your resume is good enough, and you also have to make sure that you start applying early. So the first point that you have to keep in mind is that irrespective of whether you are prepared for your interviews, you have to start applying to the companies, because interview process is very long, so it doesn't happen in a week or so. It takes about a month or so to finish one interview completely, right? And the companies also take a lot of time to review all the resumes, screen all the resumes, and then give a call. So you have to make sure that you start applying early, and that is the best way you can get interviews. Because some of the people, what they do is they think that they are not prepared, so they delay the process of applying. But some people, even though they are not prepared, they apply for companies, and when they get calls, you will get some ample amount of time to prepare, and they prepare properly in that period, and they get jobs. So first point that you have to remember is start applying to companies early. And the second point is that you have to tailor your resume very well, because this is the only thing they will see, and you will get a call based on your resume, right? So for resume, what you need to do, you have to improve your skills. You have to do some really cool projects that you can talk about during your interviews. Let me tell you why doing projects or having good projects on your resume is important. What they are going to see is, so how did you resolve an issue when you had some problem that had come up when you were doing a project? What was the approach that you took? And when you were doing in a group project, so how did you manage to do it in a group? Or when you have conflicts between team members, what do you do? So they want to hear your stories, so you can't just cook up all the stories when you're giving an interview. So you have to have some solid information so that you can give those information during your interviews, right? So if you are still preparing for the interviews, or if you are still doing projects, one important thing I want to tell you is, whenever you are faced with a problem in your project, when you come up with a solution, write down this somewhere. Because when you are preparing for the interview, you won't remember anything. Okay, I did this project, but you will feel like, what was there in this project? Okay, I created a website, created a backend, I populate data on the website. I don't see what is big deal in this, and you won't have any stories to talk about, because you won't remember the entire process of your project, right? So when you're preparing for the interviews, as in when you're improving on your skills and making projects, please make sure that you journal how you came up with this project idea, what kind of meetings that you had with your team members, and when there were conflicts, how did you solve it? And when you came up with a difficult issue, what was the approach that you took, and why did you take that approach? So all of these things, write it down when you're doing a project. It might be too much work when you are doing it, but trust me, these are going to be very, very helpful when you are preparing for your interviews. So once you have all those information ready, what you can do is you can start working on your resume quickly, so that when the companies open their slots, you can start applying. Because writing resume itself will take a lot of time if you do not know. I'm going to give you a few tips. I wouldn't say that if you write resumes like this, you are 100% going to get a call from recruiters. These are just some tips that you can probably use. And also keep in mind that I applied for 400 companies and I got hardly 10 to 15 calls from companies. So it's really difficult to get calls. So once you get calls, interviewing is much easier. So yeah, now without wasting any time, let me tell you some tips for writing a resume. What I did is I don't like to sit and format my resume in Word. So I wanted to keep my work simpler and easier. So I use this free website called credit.io. I'll also put the link for this website in the description. You can check it out. So this is a free website. You can put all your information regarding resume. You can choose what section you want to keep in your resume. You can basically customize however you want it. You can also choose the template that you want, and after you put in the information, it will generate your resume for you in a very nice format, right? So you can use the credit.io. Let me tell you how your resume should be structured. First thing on your resume should be your name, your email address, your phone number, your address, and if you have a LinkedIn link, then put your LinkedIn link, and make sure that all of the information is correct. You shouldn't be giving a wrong phone number, wrong email address to the recruiter. Many of the people, because of these small mistakes, they don't get calls. So these are the information that you have to make sure that it's 100% correct. And the next thing is, if you're a student, then you have to put your education first. So in your education, it should always be the latest education, and then below that the previous education. And you also have to mention that the duration of your university period. For example, when I was studying in UTA, I did specify August 2019 to May 2021. So they want to know that when you will be graduating, and if you are given the opportunity to work, when you will be starting your work. So recruiters want to know this information. So you have to give this information in your resume, right? And then if you have a very good GPA, you can also specify it in a bracket that you have so much good GPA. But if you don't have a good GPA, that's fine. So it's totally fine. You don't have to give that information. And the next thing is going to be skills. So skills is the next important thing that they are going to see, and whatever skills that you put in, make sure that you are skilled in those. What I wrote in my resume is, first I wrote the languages that I know. So Java, C++, SQL, whatever languages that you know. Also keep in mind that I'm talking specifically about computer science. So if you are from a different branch, then it might be a little different for you, but you can use the same format. And the next thing is cloud technologies that I know. And then I noted databases, MySQL, MongoDB, Redis. So these are the databases that I knew. So you can note that down. And other tools like Apache JMeter, IBM BPM, Git, Visual Studio. And then I noted down web technologies like HTML, CSS, Node.js, so on. So these are the skills. You can section it out, and you can mention. So after you mention your skills, the next thing is going to be employment. So if you have worked anywhere before, you can mention the employment. The internship and employment are a big highlights in your resume. So if they see that you have done internships, that will be like a plus point for you, because you have some kind of experience. And also keep in mind that if you are applying in US, having an internship in US, I think that would be much more nicer. When you come to US after your first year, try your best to get internships. That's the best way to get jobs. So you have to mention your employment, and also mention the dates of your employment and what type of work that you did. All of that you can mention. And then comes the projects. So projects also play a very important role if you are applying for computer science job roles and stuff. So you have to mention the project name and the project link if you have, and what are some of the tasks that you undertook. And also it's better if you quantify everything. When you quantify, it has more value. And also I have mentioned the period of this project, from which date to which date I did. So these are all the things that you need in your resume. I don't think so you need anything else. But once you have this resume structured, what content you put in your resume is also very, very important. Make sure that whatever project you are doing, write down all the, when you are doing the project, write down some of the difficulties that you faced, some of the challenges that you face, so that you can put those in your resume, or you can remember that okay, this was the result, this is how it happened. Otherwise, after a year or so, if you're writing your resume, you won't remember before 1 year before what I did, and how everything seems very simple. And usually we Indians, we always think that okay, whatever we did wasn't that great. Okay, this is very small project, I don't think so I can put it in my resume. This is how at least I think. So it's very difficult for me to convince others that whatever I did was great. So you have to write notes of these so that you can remember at the end. And if you have written down during the interviews, what they ask you is the scenarios. So the most of the companies, they will ask you scenario type of questions, where they tell me a time when you had a conflict with your team member, how did you resolve it? Tell me a time when you did not agree to your manager, and what was the approach that you took. So these are kind of the questions that they will be asking. And for you to be able to tell those the stories, you have to have some solid information. Otherwise it's very difficult to come up with suddenly, okay, what did I speak with, when did I speak with my manager, when did I have a conflict? You won't remember. I think it's better to make a habit of writing a journal, when you write down, okay, this is what I learned today, this is what I did. I'm telling you, this information will be really, really helpful when preparing for interviews. So once you have the resume ready, this is a very basic idea I'm giving you about how to write resumes. And I will also tell you that this is not the right way or the perfect way to do it. And I can't assure you that if you follow this, you're 100% going to get a job. These are some of the tips that might be helpful from my experience. So don't come at me if you're not getting calls even after writing this resume, because the interview process is really, really hard. It's very difficult to get calls. And also what I did was, when I was applying for companies, so most of the times what used to happen is I used to forget which company I applied, and I had applied to companies multiple times. So that's a waste of time, right? So what I used to do is I made an Excel sheet. I used to write down which company I applied, which date I applied, and what's the status of this, whether I got a call, whether I got a reject. Everything I used to maintain in an Excel sheet. I literally have that Excel sheet, and I have some 300 to 400 entries of the companies in it, and some of them are not even recorded in Excel, but these were the amounts of companies that I applied. So if you're applying for companies and if you're not getting calls, do not feel bad or motivated. uh, it's it's very difficult to get calls. Even if you're thinking I applied for 100 companies and still I'm getting calls, then I'm telling you, the number of companies that you applied is very less. 100 is very less. You have to apply like 300 400 companies, then only you're going to get calls. If you're in a top college, then yeah, it's easier for you to get calls. But all of us do not have good GRE. We cannot afford to go to top universities. I mean, if you ask me, if I had to spend like 50 lakhs or 70 lakhs, I don't think so I would be capable of going to that college, because I come from a middle class family. And and getting that much loan is also very difficult, and asking parents also so much money is very difficult. So it's okay that if you are not in a top college, the only thing is you have to work hard. So yeah, obviously they have perks if they are in good in top colleges, but it is okay as long as you are determined that you want to get a job. You can always get it, so don't be unmotivated. And I wish you guys all the very best, and thank you guys for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and if you like this video, you know the drill. Please like, share and subscribe. And I will be making more lifestyle and travel videos compared to informative videos like this, because since I'm working currently, and since I'm not a student anymore, I'm not sure if I can come up with student related content that much. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you. Bye bye.